Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an episode of The Breakdown. Now, a very interesting piece of content that we're going to be reviewing today. If you caught my live stream with Alex Kurdecha of Poland just a couple of days ago, you'll know that Alex was talking about that he had the opportunity to spar with possibly the biggest legend of the sport, Crazy George Zakowicz, a man who is in his early 70s and still at the incredibly pointy end of the world ranks in the 80 kilo division, the most successful athlete in the history of the Arnold's Classic. Crazy George's list of achievements is kind of crazy. When you see who he has been able to defeat, names like Travis Bajan, names like Adam Tainov, and the list goes on, who he has beaten, and beaten in such a manner that has set him in stone as one of the legends of the sport. Of course, he is someone who has taught Devin Larratt how to arm wrestle. He's someone greatly admired by Alex, as he mentioned in the live stream. And Alex very excitingly shared a bunch of videos with me of his opportunities to pull with Crazy George. So we're going to have a look at that now. And I actually haven't seen all these put together. So this is going to be a live first time reaction to this. So let's have a look now at Alex and Crazy George. Now, Crazy George, of course, outgunned in terms of the size factor. Crazy George, under 80 kilos. Alex Kurdecha, 155 kilos when I spoke to him the other day. So a very big difference in power. And of course, Alex is at the level right now where we're considering him as a potential top 5 in the world, as someone chasing Levan Saganashvili, and coming for that number 1 rank. Like, he's really showing the sign. So realize that the power level. Now, Alex had a lot of good things to say about Crazy George. He said he's always looked up to Crazy George, really admired him. And Crazy George made comments to Alex that no one has ever been able to pull me to the side of the table like you. So you can see that from the first grip ups there, there's nothing really, George. You can see he's just clapping and shaking his head saying, oh my goodness, that is a different degree of power from Alex Kurdecha. Like I said, Alex Kurdecha weighing 155 kilos, standing at about 6'7", 6'8", I'm not exactly sure, but an enormous human. So we've got some more pulling here. Again, now Crazy George is kind of he's the man that owns the King's Move. If you want to know where the King's Move came from, Crazy George is it. But you can see that what Alex is doing to entirely negate the ability of Crazy George to get that world famous King's Move away is that Alex's hand, his wrist flexion, and his side pressure is just simply too much for the pronation and back pressure combination that George can usually get away against almost everyone. When you watch George pull with Devin, he's able to get it away. When you watch George pull with Travis, he's able to get it away. But you can see Alex here, he's just simply too powerful for George to be able to really do anything. Alex kind of shrugging and smiling there. Hopefully we get back in the straps, because in the straps is really where Crazy George comes to life. It's where he's able to. So you can see them now strapped up. Now George, he's not a King's Mover like a typical sort of below the table King's Mover. George stays above the table very, very well. But again, you can see as now Alex has gone higher in the wrist, he's able to actually top roll and take the wrist of George, allowing George to initiate his attempt of pronating and kicking back, really just squashed very quickly by the power of Alex Kurdecha. So Alex Kurdecha, in this little video here, I think demonstrates that he really genuinely is in that next chapter, that upper echelon of elite super heavyweight power. I think his fundamental strength, his back pressure, his side pressure, his pronation and wrist flexion is really just another level. I have to really reiterate how strong a defense George Zakowicz has. George Zakowicz is a genuine freak, but you can see it's just broken down so comfortably by Alex that it's just crazy. Alright guys, that's enough footage of Alex and George pulling. I thought this was a really cool moment in arm wrestling. You've got George Zakowicz, like I said, possibly one of the biggest legends in the sport. Everyone looks up to him. I know Devin Larratt says George Zakowicz is his hero among arm wrestlers. He is the man behind the King's Move. It's why he's called King George. He truly is a phenomenal athlete. To be in his early 70s and still arguably top 3 in the world at 80 kilos is ridiculous. Now, Alex Kurdecha, of course, like you said, he's the new kid on the block that is taking the world by storm. He arrived a couple of years ago. He's now, 3-4 years into the sport. And all of a sudden, he is dominating, and he's coming very quickly for that top rank. Either way, awesome moment for the sport to see these two guys collide, and can't wait to see what either of them do next, to be honest. Hopefully Alex gets the chance to pull with Devon. I'm not sure if George is still competing, but anyone pulling George is awesome. Engen Terzi v George Zakowicz is actually a dream match for me. The way that Engen despises the King's move, it would be so good to see. But anyway, guys, hope you are well. Let me know what you thought about this pull, Alex and George colliding. Did it go the way you expected? Did you think that George was going to be able to get a stop like he can on almost everyone else on Earth? What does it mean about Alex and his power levels? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you leave us a like and a share and a subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you again next time.
Yes, that's a man!